And now for our feature presentation.
We're going to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which we just saw yesterday, so it's very fresh in our minds. And I think I want to start this podcast the way that we always start.
Yeah, see you, Langwell.
Okay, bye. Which is with me asking you, Chris, how you liked this movie.
Sure. I thought that this was a fantastic movie. There's kind of no other way about it. I have a few small tidbits. This movie was very sad. This movie was overall a sad film. It was well balanced though, because it's Guardians.
It was like sad, but it wasn't a tragedy.
Yeah, exactly. And there were plenty of funny parts, but when it got dark, it got dark. And
oh no,
was supposed to see it with my mom for her birthday, but she's been in and out of the. Oh no, I hope she's okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to say it over stream, but if you want to text us about it, I hope she's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a really good movie. When it got dark, and it got really dark. And I feel like that was the overtones of the whole film.
Yeah.
But having said that, it was still a pretty well-balanced film. I wasn't crying the whole movie.
Yeah.
And I wasn't laughing the whole movie.
Right. I do want to talk about that a bit more later. But I just wanted to follow up by saying I also really enjoyed this movie. It's definitely... So you and I are alone in thinking that Ant-Man 3 was a good movie.
Pretty much.
This is definitely the best MCU thing I've seen in a long time.
Same. That's a big... I want to talk on that sentence alone for a while, so keep going. I want to put a pin in that. Let's come right back to that. You finish what you were saying.
No, that's totally fine. We can get right into that because my threshold for how good was this Marvel movie is for the last couple of years been, was it better than Shang-Chi? Because Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is one of my favorite movies of all time, not just Marvel movies. So I'm always like, that's the new like was it better than Shang-Chi? And I can't honestly, I think I'd have to rewatch both. I really don't know because both were really, really good. But yeah, this is definitely the best thing I've seen since Shang-Chi.
Sure. And that's a big statement for you.
And other than sorry.
No, it's cool.
Other than Shang-Chi, let's take Shang-Chi out of it for a sec. I'm gonna go on and say that this is the best thing I've seen since Avengers Endgame.
Well, that's roughly where... See, I like Shang-Chi. And I respect your opinion. I don't think I would go that far with Shang-Chi. But I really enjoyed that movie. Not to say I didn't. I don't compare regular Marvel movies to Endgame or Infinity War. I just don't think that's fair. But I would argue this is probably one of maybe two of my favorite things I've seen since Endgame. And I kind of want to talk about it for a minute because Ant-Man 3.
It's technically Ant-Man and the Wasp 2,
right,
which is Ant-Man 3.
Right.
But it's not called 3, it's called Quantumania.
It's
Ant-Man 3.
Right. That and this Guardians movie are the two things we've had since I'll say it, since WandaVision, that hasn't been an experiment, it feels like to me. We had Spider-Man No Way Home, which still, even though it's a classic MCU character at this point, still felt like an experiment because they're testing the bounds of what the multiverse could look like in their universe.
Which is something they did better than the Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah,
did, I think.
I would agree.
But then everything else, I get what you're saying. Everything else was like literally an experiment. Like WandaVision was a sitcom. Black Widow was a spy thriller. The Doctor Strange was a horror movie, I guess.
And I'm not gonna lie, coming out the other end of it, it was the weakest phase, hands down. And I think it was always going to be, because they're introducing a million new characters and a million new storylines in a million different ways. And I don't think that was a smart decision. I think be experimental in Phase 5, but I think we should have gotten... COVID might have had something to do with this, so I will, I understand we're still getting back on track with that whole deal as far as films releasing, but I think if we had gotten this Ant-Man movie and this Guardians movie in Phase 5...
To mix up the monotony of all the... Because you and I are kind of like... There's a lot of people who fucking hate Phase 4, and I don't think that's where you and I are at. Phase 4 was very hit or miss for me. Like, there's a...
Was that... What, Black Panther? That's Guardians 2?
No, that's Phase 3. Phase 4 is the one you're complaining about
Oh
right
my
now.
God.
I'm
sorry.
Just entered.
What I just said, I meant to say Phase 4. I said Phase 5.
Okay,
I get
see.
that confused all the time. Literally everything I just said is in
Right.
reference to Phase 4, not Phase 5.
Because I feel like a lot of people just fucking hate Phase 4, and that's not where I'm at. I feel like there's a lot... There's some good and a lot of bad. And the bad has been very frequent recently. It was all right in a row. It was Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, Eternals, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and the new Thor movie. They were all just not good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot to take all at once, and they went out on a limb. I don't think it paid off, and I was keeping a positive outlook on Phase 4 all the way through it. Now coming out the other end and getting the two initial releases into Phase 5 that we've gotten, it's a breath of fresh air. I'm happy to be watching MCU movies again. Yeah.
I know that, it's all different directors and writing teams, but I'm more excited for the Marvels now than I was back when that was announced as what it's going to be.
I think I'm excited to further... I'm excited for a few things for the Marvels. I'm excited to continue the storyline of Nick Fury and Captain Marvel. I'm excited to continue the storyline of Nick Fury and the Skrulls, because there's a lot we don't know about that right now.
Well, that's gonna be in Secret Invasion.
Oh, then there's
which is a TV show that I believe is, believe it or not, going to come out before the Marvels, I believe.
Oh, sick.
I think we're looking at Loki Season 2 and Secret Invasion, then the Marvels.
Then there's fewer things I'm excited about for the Marvels, because I'm not going to lie, that was a huge part of it. I'm just not excited to intertwine Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel, at least not yet. I feel like I need I need to get to know Captain Marvel a little better. I know that sounds weird considering how long she's been in the MCU at this point, but she doesn't have many entries.
I think this is going to do that. I
hope so.
I think that all three of these characters, Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, and Spectrum is her superhero name. I think that's what this is going to be. But let's stop. Let's talk about Guardians.
Yeah, sorry.
No. That's fine. This was a real breath of fresh air, and James Gunn made a movie, and it was really good. It was just like there was the opening scene of this movie where it was just Rocket walking through nowhere, and he's like sort of interacting with all the characters. But I started tearing up. I don't know why.
Oh, really?
I just like like I was just like emotional during that scene for some reason. I don't know. It was just I could tell we were in for a good movie, and I think it sunk in at that moment that I was like, it's not super permanent because it's the MCU and all these fuckers are gonna come back one way or another. But like, this is the end of the Guardians of the Galaxy. This is like their final story.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It was cool. So I wanna.
James Gunn, I liked how you put it. James Gunn made a movie. It really felt like because he did know this. It really felt like he was like, "This is the last. I'm going to the other guys after this. Let's kick ass. Let's make this as hard as it can possibly go." And I think he nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I really like James Gunn. If that wasn't clear, this is my favorite James Gunn movie. I think it was really, really good. I liked it.
I don't know
a lot.
Here's the thing: Guardians, awesome. Guardians 2, cool. Guardians 3, really good. The Suicide Squad, good. Brightburn might be my favorite James Gunn movie.
Yeah, that's kind of. I've only seen it once. I should watch it again.
Oh, it's so good, especially now that you're like that was before you were super into horror. Now that you're into horror, Brightburn's probably gonna hit a little different.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just I really sorry. I just keep repeating myself. I just keep saying I really like this movie because I did, and I have specific things I wanted to talk about.
Well, why don't we get into the specifics?
Yeah. So let's, if you don't mind, jump right in and talk about the No Sleep Till Brooklyn scene.
Oh Christ! Okay, you're opening a can of worms. Okay, we'll talk about that one.
I want you to start.
Okay. I didn't want to start like this, our conversation, because this, for me, is one of the negatives. I would put it in the negative category.
I think it's an interesting talking point, and I'm going to have things to say also.
So, coming into this movie, I had a slightly different agenda than I usually do walking into any movie that I'm typically watching, and that is, did James Gunn make a better soundtrack than the one I did for this movie?
Yeah.
And for the most part, I had zero complaints about the music in this movie. I'm a Beastie Boys fan.
Right.
I love when people put them into stuff because they make good music, and it is good music for films.
Yeah.
This felt a little funny. No Sleep Till Brooklyn in the we're going to walk slow in a line, and then we're going to get into a big fight scene in a hero movie. It just didn't quite hit the way I wanted it to. It wasn't epic. It was just cool, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say it. I think of all the songs we picked in ours, there's one that would have been better. I don't have the list in front of me, but I picked a lot of songs that would have been. I was thinking of that scene a lot.
Right.
And I picked a few songs just to pad it a little bit to be like, one of these is going to be the scene, and it has to really hit home. The scene itself was fine. The music was even cool. I feel like it could have been a little better.
Okay.
Is all I'm saying.
Better of a song selection.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And in case anybody was wondering, none of our songs did make it into the... I was going to say the final cut. None of our songs made it into this movie that we picked at all. We weren't even in the special thanks, which it could have at least put us there.
Kind of fucked.
Yeah,
but,
little
whatever.
Only did this 4 years ago for you, but whatever.
I guess we'll just leak all the emails that we had back and forth with Mr. Gunn. Yeah. So if I can speak on this scene for a minute.
Yeah.
Because I thought that you said all that you just said to me yesterday, and I thought that was such a unique, take. I on the other hand, didn't mind it. I really love, if I could just talk not about the music for a second.
Yeah, of course.
I really loved that scene. And it wasn't until later that I was like, that was just so cool, because it was one of those super long slow-mo, like fake one-shot like battle scenes where we're like going through the battle and everyone's like doing their own thing. And those are usually pretty cool, but this one was just like first of all, it was very well done. I really liked the scene. But also it was just like, this is the last time that these characters are going to fight together as the Guardians of the Galaxy. And I just think it was so cool. And I didn't mind No Sleep Till Brooklyn. I think I get why they picked it. And it ties into another complaint that I had that I don't have anymore, because I thought about it for a minute and I was like, I actually kind of like that. So I was going to complain about Adam Warlock, because Adam Warlock wasn't really a big part of this movie, and he didn't really, other than the initial when he attacked the Guardians, he didn't really fight anybody. But the more I thought about it, I was like, I'm more okay with it, because I was like, I just like heard someone say something and I was like, I just keep thinking about that now. The Guardians of the Galaxy are misfits. They've always been. Why are these individuals hanging out together? No one else, likes them, whatever. So they. Oh, hello.
Hey, thank you so much for coming back. You were here for our Pokemon.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks. We're talking about the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie right now.
Yeah.
Howdy to yourself.
So if you don't want spoilers,
if you don't want spoilers, exactly. Yeah. We totally appreciate you being here. If you don't want spoilers, come back in an hour. We're gonna be doing This Week in Pop Culture podcast. But if you want to hang out in, I don't mind spoilers. Okay, then
cool. Yeah.
You're here for the ride.
So I have to detach myself from my knowledge of this character from the comics, because I went in here with all my knowledge, and all I know about Adam Warlock is that he's indestructible super god. But this one was different, because they literally explained it in the movie. He was taken out of his pod early. He's like not fully Adam Warlock yet. So he's like also a misfit. So it fits right in there with that. And I think that's why they chose No Sleep Till Brooklyn by the Beastie Boys, because the Beastie Boys' whole thing is like, we're outcasts. No one gives a shit about us, We're going to do whatever we want because no one's paying attention to us.
That's an interesting take. I thought on Adam Warlock. Do you think we'll get a second Adam Warlock?
I don't.
Maybe played by somebody else, like a finished Adam Warlock?
I really don't. I think that if we ever see, like, let's say Adam Warlock is in, like, the fight scene from Endgame Part 2, right? I think he's going to kick ass and do all the cool Adam Warlock stuff that we know, but that's because this Adam Warlock had, like natural growth, whereas in, like, and I've been born as a 25-year-old super god who knows everything. Like, he's just going to, like, have all of the cool stuff. But, like, you don't need... Adam Warlock doesn't need to be his own thing. We don't need 3 Adam Warlock movies, I think Adam Warlock being a Guardian side character is perfect. And at first I was like, they didn't really do anything with it. And the more I thought about it, I was like, they changed Adam Warlock, and he, like, fits in more with this weird, like, almost sort of grounded, which is a weird word for what these movies are, like, take on a superhero drama.
Sure.
And I kind of really appreciate that. I just really like what James Gunn was able to do with these characters, and you can really tell, and I did not look this up, you can tell that Marvel let him do whatever he wants, especially because, and not many people are talking about this because it's kind of a spoiler, but we got the first F-bomb.
I know.
In the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
They actually did spoil that before the movie came out.
Really?
Yeah, I saw something that said officially, because he did it in the last movie, but it was like Groot said it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But this time they were like, no, he's getting the first F-bomb in Marvel.
Well, I saw. Sorry, you.
Well, I was waiting for it the whole movie. I was just sitting here like, when's it gonna work? And they picked the best spot for it.
So I did look up that. I saw an interview with James Gunn, and he described it like this: the F-bomb wasn't in the script. It wasn't ad-libbed by Chris Pratt, though. Day of, James Gunn was like, say fuck in this line. And it was so funny that he left it in the first cut of the movie.
Awesome.
He shows it to Marvel. Marvel doesn't say anything about the F-bomb, so he went to Kevin Feige, and he was like, Kevin, what about the F-bomb? And Kevin was essentially like, I'm fine with it. There was going to be one in Avengers Endgame, but the Russo brothers actually cut it because they didn't want that to be their legacy. And James Gunn was literally like, I'm going to make it mine.
Oh,
then.
yeah. He's the guy. He's the guy for it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It does beg the question. I'll be the Debbie Downer. It does beg the question, at what point is it not a children's movie? Or at what point should it be focused on being a children's movie?
That is something else I wanted to talk about.
Sure.
Because there's an F word in this movie. There is just like some gruesome animal torture. It's not real. It's all CGI, obviously, but there's just like some animal body horror.
I'm not gonna lie.
There's some human body horror when he takes his face off. McDonald's has Guardians of the Galaxy 3 toys right now. Why? This is clearly not a kid's movie.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I went home. I'm a grown-ass man.
Yeah.
I'm almost 30 years old.
Yeah.
I went home and I hugged my dogs as much as I could.
Yeah.
Because this movie was a lot.
Yeah. No, I would not show this movie to kids. I wouldn't suggest that. It's just odd.
No. If there's one MCU movie I think I hide my kids from for a while till they're old enough, I think it would be this one. I don't have kids. But if and when I do, I don't think. Let's say we're starting to watch MCU movies at like 8 years old, and we do it chronologically. So by the time they're 11 and we get to this one, I think I'd be like, let's wait till you're 13, bud.
Yeah,
at least.
Yeah. Oh, is that?
Yeah, it's fine.
It's whatever. Yeah.
Somebody liked our thing on Facebook.
Good for them.
Do we have secrets for this movie to give to DeadSec 4 Gaming?
Do we have secrets?
Well, they said I don't mind spoilers, Lo, especially when they're secrets.
Well,
this is an Ask Me Anything stream, just to remind.
I feel like the only real secret that you shouldn't tell people about this movie is the fact that at the very, very end of the movie they say Star-Lord will return.
Yeah.
Rather than Guardians of the Galaxy will
really
return.
Interesting. Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it, actually, yeah.
At the very end, because I like that they've been doing this, because it's a genuine question for me sometimes of who's coming back.
Right.
This time,
sometimes it's kind of pointless. Like when I'm watching Thor 2 and it says Thor will return, I'm like, yeah, no shit.
Right.
Because Thor 2 is coming out before Avengers 2, and they're already announced a Thor 3.
And I know Chris Hemsworth is signed on to do more. I didn't hear that his contract is over, so I know that he'll be back.
Right.
But it does beg the question, the term Star-Lord, not Peter Quill, not Chris Pratt, the question
and also not Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right. It is specifically Star-Lord. And how the movie ended is we actually get to see what the new Guardians lineup is, and it's Adam Warlock, it's Rocket Raccoon, it's
Cosmo,
Groot,
the dog.
It's Cosmo the dog, who I love, and I need more Cosmo.
It's Kraglin.
It's Kraglin,
and it's a little one of the
kids that they saved.
One of the weird kids that they saved.
I'm down for that lineup. This isn't what we were talking about, but I'm going to bring it into this conversation a little bit. I'm down for that lineup to show up somewhere else.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not a movie. Maybe a movie, but probably not a movie.
Probably not. If they do Guardians 4, but it's this team, which I don't think they will. But if they do, I anticipate not directed by James Gunn.
Oh, of course not. No, he's definitely done. But that's because I went home and I said to my dad, this does relate to just him returning.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I went home, I said to my dad, we saw it, and almost like, I don't think he knew that this was their last one, but he was just like, this was the last one, huh? And I was like, yeah, but they did show this, and he was like, oh, that, he, had like a weird reaction to that. And I was like, well, that's what they're like in the comics. The fact that we got 3 movies with the same lineup in the Guardians is actually kind of weird.
Yeah.
So like a Guardians 4 with a new lineup, as far as actual Marvel fans are concerned, not that weird.
Right.
But it begs the question, why didn't it say the Guardians will return? Why did it say Star-Lord? You showed us the lineup. You gave Krillin an arc Did I say his name right?
No, you
I
said
didn't.
his name is Kraglin.
Kraglin.
You said Krillin, who's the little bald guy from Dragon Ball Z.
Yes. What if Krillin got a
A
MC?
spot in
Yeah.
the MCU.
Yeah. It's the multiverse. Anyways,
this multiverse is just Dragon Ball Z. We're sorry.
Kraglin had an arc in this film,
Right.
and they made him good at the arrow that he received. They made him
Right.
not good at first, then they made him good. Adam Warlock is now pinned to the Guardians. That's the way James Gunn decided it.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't go off and do his own thing. He's part of the Guardians now.
Right.
So why give us all this lore for these characters? Why introduce a new character
Right.
who could be a potential new person in the MCU to do other things, and then just say, and we're going to leave them all here behind
Right.
forever. I think they're going to show up again, but it's just weird that they didn't get that mention at the end of the film. Just Star-Lord, whose storyline actually comes to a really nice cadence.
Right. But you got to think,
Yeah.
he is on Earth right now. And it
Yeah.
looks like that's where he's going to stay. So if some shit goes down on Earth, it is no longer, like, weird if Star-Lord randomly shows up.
You know what else? You're right. I feel like there's other people before Star-Lord I would call.
Of course.
But you're right. I just realized he never put his mask on this whole movie.
No, he didn't.
That's the first time, right?
Yeah. And I guess I'm okay with that because I didn't even notice.
I
even
didn't
realize
care.
It. You
Well,
want to know what else didn't happen? He didn't say Mamma Mia once. What's up with that? How are they not going to reference his most famous role ever? That was perfectly timed for you to spit water all over my computer.
Yeah. The computer we both bought just for this
Right.
all those years ago. Just
Now
just
covered in
ruin it
spit.
midstream. Spit and water and just destroyed. Yeah, what the fuck? He didn't say that. I wonder if he was just like, I'm not gonna do it. I don't know what kind of green screen they need to do the mask, or like what kind of prosthetics he needs for the mask. But I wonder if he was just like, I'm Chris Pratt. I voiced Mario. I'm not doing that this time.
No, I'm sure it wasn't that. I'm sure it was.
Maybe it just wasn't called for.
Yeah, maybe it literally just wasn't in the story.
The reason I bring it up is he's in street clothes at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I guess we can only assume he has his.
He's wearing a
guns
Freakies shirt. Do you remember?
I don't know.
Freakies?
No, I don't know what that was.
It's Freakies. Let me Google it to make sure
I'm gonna guess something from the 80s.
It was. If I remember correctly, I believe it was a cereal. Yeah, it was a cereal. It was a failed like cereal / TV show. Freakies brand of sweetened breakfast cereal. Failed 1980s relaunch. Yeah, it was just like ooh, there's a chocolate version. Major visual sweetened as ever creatures known collectively as the Freakies. Yeah, they're just a failed like serial like IP.
Interesting.
Like just like the only one that like completely failed. There was like no one gave a shit about the Freakies. They tasted awful. They didn't become a household name. They're like the Bubsy of
I'm gonna
cereal
guess
mascots.
James Gunn liked Freakies.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's a reason they made it.
I mean,
right?
it just fits back into the Misfits.
Yeah,
theme
yeah,
of,
that's
like,
true.
Of like he didn't have a Tony the Tiger shirt or a Toucan Sam shirt. He had a fucking Freakies shirt. Because
And-
Freakies are the weird ones.
And you know what's funny? Not only are they the weird ones in the comics, they're the weird ones of the comics. Like you said, like we've talked about before, as far as the general public is concerned, you make an Iron Man movie, some people know who Iron Man is. You make a
Right.
Captain America movie, a lot of people know that guy. He's the not Superman.
Right.
I'm just thinking of the world before the MCU. You make Guardians of the Galaxy, they're like, is that related to any of it?
Right.
What is that?
Right. No, I remember I distinctly remember San Diego Comic-Con 2013 or 2012, I think, when they announced Guardians of the Galaxy, and just like everyone was like, "What is this?" like, because it was right off the tails of Avengers 1 had like
Right,
just come
right.
out, and then that Comic-Con they were like, and we're doing a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and people were like, literally the Guardians of the Galaxy meme, people were like, who is that, what is that, what are we doing, is that thing a tree, what's happening, where's Spider-Man? And then it came out, it was excellent, we all loved it.
That's the way to integrate new characters to your IP, Marvel. Take a note from yourself. Don't make an entire 3-4 year gap of introducing new characters. Maybe just introduce a couple here and there.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know. I think that this isn't what we were talking about. Marvel got too big for their britches the last couple years, I think. I think they thought they could do no wrong, and I think they made a couple stinkers.
And I think, even though this isn't the biggest stinker, I think the one that we all have to learn from is the Eternals.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Please don't give me another Eternals. And by another Eternals, I mean another movie that's 4 hours long and could have just been a TV show.
About a bunch of new characters that
Yeah.
don't... Yeah. This movie, Guardians of the Galaxy 3... Okay, so I want to talk about a few things. I want to talk about the main villain,
Okay.
because I thought he was really good.
I'm sorry, keep going.
Oh, no, you go.
I like, considering they are the Guardians of the Galaxy, and at this point, every villain they've fought so far is trying to destroy a large percentage of the galaxy.
Right. Including Thanos,
exactly. I like how this was just like, this was an activist movie.
Yeah.
There was no other real way of putting it. This guy does horrible experiments on animals, and they were like, don't.
Yeah.
Don't or die
Yeah.
is kind of how it went.
No, I like that too. It was a very small scale. Even the A plot was a very small scale, like Rocket's sick. We have to save him. That's the whole plot.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Rocket's sick, we have to save him or half the galaxy
Right.
explodes.
No, it was a fantastic job. You and I did call this, and you like how I pointed at you with my finger in my pocket. You and I did call this. The storyline for Guardians was going to be about, I want to say Lila. It was about Lila and Rocket, and I love how he went about it.
Yeah.
I love that. I don't know. It's just it was so natural the way it went in and out of Rocket's storyline from the past and what's happening now.
Right.
Also, he picked the right one as far as whose backstory do we go further in. Because Gamora gets hers done through Endgame and Infinity War, more or less.
We don't need Peter's is one sentence, and we
Right.
saw that at the beginning of Guardians 1.
Drax, we don't get Drax's... Drax tells us his background, but
Right.
he then redeems himself through... And not redeems himself, but his arc is fulfilled by the end of Endgame.
Yeah. And you get a little bit of that in this movie where it's like, oh, remember his story? It kind of matters in this scene.
Right. And then Groot... we don't really get an explanation, but...
He's the last of the... Flora, well, I can't remember.
Oh, yeah,
the Flora Gigantima or whatever. They say it a lot in the game. It's like the last of the Terra Flora, but yeah, whatever. He's the last alien of the three people.
Yeah.
And Mantis essentially has the same backstory as
Peter, except she
stayed with the dude. Yeah.
So he did the right job picking Rocket, and Rocket's is the most interesting anyways, as far as I'm concerned.
When they announced Lila was going to be in this movie, I did not expect it to be like she's a flashback character because she's been dead this whole time.
Oh, I know. How crazy is that?
Because almost every single Lila story from any game or comic I've ever seen is her and Rocket meet back up again as adults, and now they're boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever.
I wonder if that was James Gunn's way of being like, I don't know, I feel like some of the comic fan, there's a bit of an elite feeling with the comic fans where they're like, oh, I know it's going to happen.
Right. Well, that's what I liked about this movie. I say this a lot. I like to talk about these movies, comparing them to their comic book counterparts, right? Visually, storytelling wise, camera shot, how different scenes, different action scenes are framed. And I've said this before. I really appreciate when comic book movies, when it feels like you are watching a comic book. This was why I liked Ant-Man 3 Quantumania so much, because I could literally see the pages turning. Like with every conversation, I was like, this really, really feels like I'm reading a comic book. This movie did not feel at all like I was reading a comic book, and I think I like it better because of that. That's what I mean by when I'm like, James Gunn just made a movie. Like, it doesn't matter that these characters are legacy comic book characters. They're characters that he's been writing for the last 10 years, because Guardians 1 came out in 2014. And he's got to conclude it, and he's going to do it his way.
Yeah.
And I really liked it. I think that it was a good... This is definitely getting a rewatch. I haven't really been rewatching Marvel movies lately. I only saw Thor once. I only saw Black Panther once. This one, I'm gonna make sure everyone I know watches it, and watch it with my parents, and I just have to see this movie again because it was so good. Cosmo was really cool. Cosmo's usually a dude, which was interesting. Obviously, she was revealed in the Christmas special,
right.
The holiday special.
Well, actually, didn't she get wasn't she a background thing?
Yes, she's in the Howard the Duck after the credits scene from Guardians 1.
Yeah.
Cosmo is licking the Collector's face, and Howard the Duck says, "Why you let her look you like that? That's disgusting."
Right.
Howard the Duck was in this movie.
Howard the Duck was also in this movie.
He cannot escape
just being in the background.
Yeah, and I guess it's fine, right? I don't need a Howard the Duck TV show. But
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I know nothing about Howard the Duck except that fucking movie I watched recently.
Out of the two of us, you're the only one who's seen the Howard the Duck movie, so it's crazy that to hear you say you don't know anything about him.
Allow me to tell you all about Howard the Duck.
No, he came from Toontown and he tries to fuck Lea Michele. I know what the movie is.
Yeah, but did you know that there's duck boobs in it?
You did inform me of the duck boobs.
He also...
Is there other duck people in the movie?
At the beginning, yeah. He comes from a duck planet.
They show the duck planet
They show
in
the duck
movie?
planet. Anthony, in the Howard the Duck movie, they open the multiverse.
That's great.
And they don't call it that.
Right.
They don't talk about it.
Well, you have to. You literally have to if you want to hang out with Howard the Duck.
Right. But they did, and I'm just sitting there watching this movie with John. I didn't say anything to John because he's watching the Marvel movies.
Right.
I'm just sitting there tapping my foot like they just fucking opened the multiverse. I don't know if anybody gives a shit.
I don't know if anyone here gives a shit, but they just open the multiverse.
There's Howard the Duck.
There's Howard the Duck.
And he's getting. They literally showed him getting forced. It's almost like the writers, like the ghost of the writer was like, "You're coming with me, you fuck," because they open the multiverse. And it's not like a portal or anything like that. It's not like this high concept. It's just a cylinder in space, and it's like, you're coming with me.
That's great. That's great. I like that he's always voiced by Seth Green. I just love when small characters are voiced by people who are just so famous, just entirely incredibly famous. Like, for example, the woman in the voice in Spider-Man's suit, her name is Karen, I believe. She's voiced by Jennifer Connelly, I think, like someone like a really high profile Hollywood actress. Just cuz
they can.
Yeah, cuz they need him for they need her for one afternoon.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I think that thing we're going to be doing with this podcast that we're not talking about right now cuz it's future secret stuff.
Yeah.
I think Howard the Duck has to make my list.
Okay, yeah.
I think I've got to put him on there.
Yeah, I am down to clown with the Howard the Duck movie. What when did it was post?
It was 90 maybe.
Yeah, it was post Back to the Future,
it was, yeah, well, it was like they made it's so funny you said that cuz it's like they made McFly, but he's a duck this time.
Yeah, Linda Cardellini is the voice of Lila. who is, as we all know, plays Hawkeye's wife.
Oh shit!
Are we good?
Oh yeah, no, we're fine.
Oh, okay.
I was just moving. It was blocking his
Oh.
comment, so it was just officially time to move it.
Oh, got it. Yeah, voice of Hot Dog Water. Voices Lila. And she's also Agent 13. There was like a weird, only comic book nerds get the reference at the end of Hawkeye where he was like, "Here's your watch, Agent," or whatever the fuck.
Oh, okay.
I think she's Agent 13. I only know that name because of the card game. We're done talking about Linda Cardellini. Also, there was 2 characters in this movie. Their names are fucking Matronex and Krogar.
Okay.
And if you've seen the movie, I was texting you about these 2.
Oh yeah,
if you saw the
yes.
movie. Matronex is the one with the like crystal face, and Krogar is the orange alien dude that was opening Doctor Strange portals. And to further prove what we were talking about earlier about how the Guardians are always changing, apparently those 2 are like classic Guardians of the Galaxy members, and they were both in Guardians 2, I guess. And I told you this, I was reading that in the comic books, Krogar becomes the Sorcerer Supreme when Doctor Strange becomes the Ancient One.
I want all of that to happen because they seemed cool, and James Gunn made a point of making Krogar a bit cooler than it was. It's almost like in that Pinocchio, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, where one of those extras is just a little nicer than the rest of the puppets because he was going to be the main bad guy.
Right.
That's what I felt like with Krogar. He's just a little bit cooler. His design is a little too well thought out to be a background character. I wonder if that's James Gunn trying to push more Guardians characters out there.
Yeah. No, that
I'd be
cool.
down for him to show up in a Doctor Strange thing.
Shout out to Big Thunder and Lightning Gaming. Shout out to Stephen Blackheart, who's most well known for playing Man, and in this movie he played Dude. He plays Guy in every James Gunn thing.
Oh yeah.
And in this one he played Man. He played Man very well. So good. Shout out to
Are those
him.
actually what he's credited as?
No, but it's close. It's like guy who, like it. Yeah, it's just a bunch of like worker 2, background guy 5.
Yeah.
Jim. I think in this movie his character does have a name. He's in all 3 Guardians movies and the Guardians Christmas special, but the name that he had in this one was the name of his character from the Christmas special, but the 2 other Guardians movies were 2 different names. So I think he's just James Gunn's friend who he keeps putting in everything.
I'd love it if this guy
also in Brightburn and Super.
I'd love it if this guy isn't even a friend of James Gunn. He's just been background character for him long enough that he's just like shows up to
he keeps
shows up
even
and
if
they're
he's not hired.
Well, no. They hire him on the spot because they're like, oh yeah, I remember you from last time.
Yeah.
Like he's so in there now. He's just like
he's the most tenured James Gunn actor.
Yeah, exactly.
And no one knows who he is.
Him and oh no. I was gonna say yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
He was. He had to be. He got in the chair for 9 hours of makeup for a 4-second
to do
no
like
dialogue
this.
scene.
He do that?
Yeah, I don't think he talked.
No, he didn't say a word because he shouldn't have. He did a little hand gesture and that was it.
Yeah,
he was gone.
Well, for once, James Gunn made Michael Rooker an important ass character. You know?
Right.
So if anyone was gonna see the ghost of him, it was gonna be that character.
Yeah. His cousin.
Yeah, James Gunn. No, James Gunn.
His brother?
Brother.
Oh, okay.
His cousin is the one who directed Brightburn. You
have a pop figure signed by Kraglin.
I do. It's not in here. I have it. I'm waiting. I need to. I didn't want to stack it up here because I didn't want it to fall. And I'm trying to. Obviously, I need to. Anyways, it's
a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, it's
That's fair.
I thought it was really cool that this movie was. So this movie was mostly about Rocket. Mostly, he was definitely the most developed character throughout this movie. A really cool moment at the end. I think I might have even literally shouted out loud because I was so excited. But he refers to himself for the first time ever as Rocket Raccoon. I fucking love that shit. When at the end of WandaVision, when she's like, and now you are the Scarlet Witch. I love shit like that. When they just use the name right at the end, and it's just like, oh, you weren't calling her Black Widow on purpose. You could call her Black Widow in this scene. It's just really cool to me. But I also love that it was just a beautiful story because his fucking backstory is so fucking sad and so depressing. And I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't have been able to do what he did. I probably would have given up at that point. But it was just cool to see his super sad, crazy sad backstory, and then the end of the movie is just him dancing to a Florence and the Machine songs with his new family.
Yeah,
it was just it was a really cool. The ending of this movie was really, really cool. Everybody lived, which was very surprising.
I know.
Thought there would be at least one. When Rocket Raccoon was walking into the light that you're not supposed to walk into if you want to stay alive, I was like,
yeah,
well, yeah, it's happening. They and I was like, what an interesting choice. They went on this whole 2.5 hour long quest to save Rocket. They failed, and now Rocket's dead, and that's gonna fuel them to fight the rest of the. But that's not what happened. And I was like, son of a bitch. He's still alive, okay. And they all lived. And then at the end of the movie, it was just like a great wrap-up. It was like, here's what this character is going to do. Makes sense. Here's what this character is going to do. Makes sense. I thought it was really a really good idea that Gamora went back to the Raiders.
Yeah.
I think it would have been really, really forced and really hokey if she did end up back with Peter Quill at the end. I kind of really like that they ended it separate.
There was an absolute fork in the road too, where it could have taken a wrong turn when he falls on top of her.
Yes, they look at each other, and I misinterpreted that as, oh, they're gonna kiss, but that was just a look of oh my God, we're safe.
Yeah.
And now the scene's gonna continue.
I think
normal.
we were intentional. I think it was supposed to.
Yeah.
That's not to say. I mean, if Star-Lord is coming back, that's not to say. No, that he was pretty hard. No, forget it. Yeah, I think that love story's dead.
Oh yeah, and I'm okay with it. I think that this movie made me okay with it.
I'm okay with it too. I don't think. Here's the thing with Chris Pratt's Peter Quill Star-Lord.
Yeah.
Which makes me question if he's even going to be the Star-Lord that's returning.
Right.
Whole...
We have two Star-Lords in the MCU, and it can't be the other one, because the other one's played by Chadwick Boseman.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Which, I would have loved to see that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it would have
really
happened.
Cool.
But his whole arc throughout all these movies is getting with her.
Yeah.
It's been the point. I don't think he's going to, unless they give him a new purpose, I don't think he'd be interesting to have come back.
No, I think he's literally just going to be in the next Infinity War style thing. I was also on Earth. I heard there was stuff to do. I'm shooting now.
Right,
you know?
Right.
I don't think he's going to have an arc. I don't think he needs one. And the other thing I wanted to talk about that we mentioned a little bit at the beginning of this was there's this trend in the MCU lately, and this trend came to a very annoying head in Thor: Love and Thunder. And I think this trend might have even been started by James Gunn, but it's the thing that happens in the movie, and it's the emotional scene where character is expositing a lot of a dialogue about their tragic backstory, and then the music stops and it's undercut by a joke, the scene where Nebula is from the second one is talking about how she's gonna kill Gamora or whatever, and then she takes a bite of the thing and she spits it out and she's like, it's not ripe. It's just every emotional scene must end with a joke, and
right.
That's one of the big my biggest problem with Thor: Love and Thunder was none of these emotional scenes land because you're not letting them land.
Right.
Korg always has to come in with a fucking minion quote, you know.
Right.
In this movie, there was a lot of scenes where it was an emotional scene is happening. It's happening. They're done talking. Camera's holding them for a few seconds. We cut to a next scene. And the emotional scene just happened. And I thought that was really cool because, like you were saying, like this movie was like appropriately funny. It was appropriately sad. It let the emotions play when they needed to.
Yeah.
I think there might have been like one or two moments that like were sort of undercut by a joke, but it was so few. Like it wasn't every single time, right? It was like there was a lot of like emotional scenes where it was just like, damn, there it was, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
I feel like that made for a better movie. I don't know. There was just a lot of decisions that you could tell were made directly by James Gunn, that made this movie like really stick out to me.
Yeah, no, like I said at the top of the hour, one of my first things I have to say about it is I think he knew this was his last go, and he wanted to make a point of it.
Well, that's the important thing, right? Because, like, say what you will about the story of the Guardians of the Galaxy, because it's obviously most of their last hurrahs, but it's 100%, without a doubt, James Gunn's last hurrah because he's moved on to a different thing.
Yeah.
The MCU let him go just long enough that he got enough of his fienders in a different IP, and it just so happens to be your direct rival that has been, like, falling down a flight of stairs for the last 12 years, and now here comes James Gunn, one of the best directors you have, to fix them.
Right. Not only that, he's top dog.
Right.
And
no, he is the dude in charge of all of it. He's literally writing and directing the new Superman movie.
Yeah.
Which, is another conversation in itself.
Yeah, maybe don't wear too many hats over there.
Well, I just don't know if I know the way James Gunn makes movies, and I don't know if that's going to work with Superman. Well, it doesn't matter for the Guardians discussion. Yeah, I don't know. It was good. Another thing that I wanted to mention was Nebula has all these, like, and it goes unexplained, which is totally fine, but she has, like, nanotech.
Yeah.
And you can only assume it's from Iron Man because her and Iron Man were, like, partners for a while.
No, they actually did explain it.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, because that was actually going to be a complaint of mine. They did explain it. She makes offhand comment about Rocket and how he's the reason she has this stuff.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just assumed because Nebula and Iron Man were trapped on the Guardian ship, in between Infinity War and Endgame, so maybe then they got talking about that stuff.
Maybe he didn't have the opportunity to do it.
Right,
though.
of course. No, of course. Right, because then Endgame happens and then the end of Endgame happens. So, yeah, you're right. But Iron Man likes to do that. He'll be like, "Oh, by the way, I made you a suit."
Yeah. No, that's true.
No, but that makes sense. That makes sense. That because she was cool.
Oh yeah.
She had like Iron Man style like wings at one point. It was neat.
Oh, that's right. She did.
And I don't know if you noticed this. It took me like half the movie to notice it, but her like eye is fixed. Like she didn't have one metal eye. It was like flesh.
Oh.
It was like covered over in blue flesh.
Yeah.
Is she
interesting?
Is any part of her organic anymore?
At least her brain.
Is she just a brain in a jar? Is she like Robot Man? Like, or because she like completely like mutilated herself.
In
this movie.
I think
she was
it's
just like fine.
I think it's fair to say he made her. She's like Mr. Stretch Arm or whatever. She's just like flop her any way you want.
Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah, Stretch Armstrong, and she'll just be like, "All right."
Do you
I'm
think
back.
that was the point? He was like, "Your flaw is that you lose, so I'll make it so if you lose, it's chill."
Yeah, because she like dies 4 times in this movie.
Yeah.
If she was just regular.
Her entire head goes behind her, and she just keeps fighting and using her head like the way you would if you didn't die from your head falling back like The Exorcist.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
I was just so fascinated by her in this movie. Like every time she took a hit, I was like, surely that damaged you somehow. Oh no, it didn't.
Yeah, I think Thanos made Gamora a super strong fighter, and he made Nebula just immortal as much as he could.
Yeah, this one was good. It like I don't know. I just keep going back to the phrase like the MCU let James Gunn do whatever they wanted. Like sometimes they'll make a movie and you can really tell that the MCU just like took its head out of its own ass, and it's like just make a really good movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and if it's gonna be his last hurrah, that's the one to do it on.
Yeah.
Two small things.
Yeah, sure.
They did not get space correct in this movie. I do want to mention that.
Yeah, you and I were talking about that.
There's just a few scenes where either somebody should be getting sucked out of a ship because there's now a gaping hole
Right.
to outside of the ship, or somebody's head almost it completely blows up, and then it just puffs down back to normal as if it was infected. I'm pretty sure when that happens, when you're outside of a spaceship and your head is about to explode, pretty sure you're fucked already.
Well, see, that one, the not getting thrown into the vacuum of space thing, you and I were theorizing about why that might have happened, but at the end of the day, they didn't explain it.
Mm.
The head being fine thing, I think, was explained away by the fact that they have those like cure-all.
Oh, right, you
like,
mentioned
med
that.
Packs.
Yeah, that
Like,
I mean that
literally
could definitely be
it's
it.
not just a Guardians thing either. Aisha, I believe her name is, puts one on Adam Warlock, so it's definitely like a galaxy-wide like. This is a cure-all because Mantis puts one around her arm. She's not even touching it, and it unbreaks her wrist.
Right.
So
right.
So I'm as soon as his face got all puffy, I was like, and then he wasn't dead. I was like, if his face is fine in the next scene, it's that thing.
That's fair. Again,
remember
not
the-
explained, but yeah.
Do you remember the like, you got shot in the head with a bullet? No, you didn't. From Kingsman 2.
No.
Colin Firth gets shot in the head in Kingsman 1, and then
Oh,
in Kingsman 2, they
yeah,
show
yeah.
you that Halle Berry
Yeah.
comes with a. It's like that Sonic meme. It's like, oh, he got shot in the head. It's like, no, he didn't.
Right. Yeah, that. It's funny because that also happens in. I'm watching the new season of Rick and Morty,
Yeah.
and there's a scene like that. That's where I got distracted, and it was because of that. But yeah, a few minor bumps in the road. You can say that for any movie.
Yeah.
Really solid movie though. It's making me excited for Phase 5.
Which is the one we're in.
That's the one we are currently in. There's a lot of cool things on the horizon, I think, and I think they went through their experimental phase. Some things worked, some things didn't. I hope they navigate which was which well.
Well, yeah, one of those things that was an experiment and worked is coming back, because the next thing is Loki season 2.
Yeah.
Which, like, who knows? Because he's supposed to be the main villain of that movie, that TV show. And, like, if you were going to recast him,
you're referring to Kang.
Kang, yeah.
I always say Kang.
If they were going to recast, someone on a video I was watching brought this up, if they were planning on recasting Kang for Loki season 2, they can't, because there's a writer's strike. So they cannot do reshoots.
Oh, shit.
And that show's supposed to come out, like, next month or something.
And it's already finished?
Oh, it's.
Then he's going to be in it.
Yeah.
And we all have to deal with it one way or another.
Yeah.
I am trying. I'm also I'm extending this courtesy to Justin Roiland as well. I'm gonna keep my opinions to myself, except for when we put a microphone in front of me.
I have no opinions. I'm just trying to predict what the big studios are gonna do. You know.
Yeah.
Marvel's been quiet, and I understand why they have been, and I'm trying to like predict. Like I have a feeling that there was definitely at least a conversation about, should we reshoot Loki season 2? Oh, just kidding, we can't. Now there's a writer's strike.
I watched this thing earlier today. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched enough to see enough people get a second shot at the camera. They did a who's your favorite something or other with the cast of Guardians 3.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm sorry, with the cast of Ant-Man.
Oh, okay.
They did a, do you like this? Do you like this? What do you like? He just wasn't up in there.
Oh,
so
okay.
either they filmed it and chose to take, but they're just continuing to stay on the
Right.
fence. And I think you're right. I think Loki is going to be the deciding factor of which side of the fence that you're following on. If it comes down to they make a statement about like, hey, we still don't want to release what we think, but we have to release this TV show because we made it. So I think something will happen.
I just want to know when it's supposed to come out. Loki, season 2.
They're either going to say, sorry he's in it, or they're going to say, we're not sorry he's in it until the jury says he did a bad thing.
Oh, okay. So there isn't an official release date. It just says schedule. This is from 9 hours ago. It just says scheduled to debut on Disney Plus in the middle of 2023.
Okay, we're quickly approaching that deadline. Should we call
5 days ago, it says it was delayed to an indefinite TBD date. I don't know how. That's from Superhero Hype. I don't know how real that is. I don't know.
Yeah.
So clearly something's up, which is fine.
Should we call it here?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, Guardians 3 was great. Next for us, I'm not sure. What's next for
Asteroid
us?
City?
Asteroid City, probably. Let me go to my, because there's that Spider-Man flick coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Where did it go? Yeah, so we got The Little Mermaid. We probably won't do an episode on that. There is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I would like to
Oh,
go
yeah, we'll
see
definitely do that.
We're not going to watch The Flash. We are going to see Barbie, so we might as well do an episode on that
Sure.
if we're going to go to the movie theater to see it.
Yeah.
And I think you and I are both really hyped for Asteroid City, so we'll
Yeah.
definitely, whether we go to the theater to see it or not, we'll definitely do an episode on that. If you don't know what that is, it's I always fuck up his name. What is his name? The director?
Wes Anderson?
Wes Anderson, yes. It's his new movie. I get him confused with Paul W.S. Anderson, who's the guy who makes the shitty Resident Evil movies.
Fair.
Because his name has W.S. in it, so
Yeah.
my brain is like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's
But
fair.
yeah, that's our movie and TV podcast on Guardians 3.
But don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere. We're gonna talk. We're gonna do our flagship podcast. We're gonna talk about pop culture news. I have a surprise for the end, so look out for that. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe.
Our channel has daily uploads from podcast video essays, Let's Plays to skits.
Be sure to watch on Twitch. We stream all our video game and podcast content live at 5 EST every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday.
Our intro is by Brad Kendrick and music by Froggy and the Friendship. Link to all that in the description below.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.